On November 3, 2022, in London, England, a significant incident unfolded within the digital infrastructure of a leading multinational finance corporation, referred to henceforth as FinCorp. This company, known for its extensive range of financial products and services, had long relied on the services of a major cloud provider to manage its data processing and customer interactions. By standardizing operations on this cloud-based system, FinCorp aimed to enhance efficiency and reduce operational costs. However, the security measures implemented to protect sensitive financial data were not as robust as initially believed. The main actor in this scenario, FinCorp's management and IT security teams, became complacent after several successful audits of their cloud security posture. Unbeknownst to them, a critical misconfiguration existed within their access management controls. The cloud security policies had not been updated post-revision of operating procedures, allowing inadvertent wide-open permissions to a section of the database containing sensitive client information. Specifically, the permissions were set to allow access to a broader user group than intended, including users not directly authorized to view or manipulate financial data. This oversight went unnoticed due to a lack of detailed logging and monitoring of access requests, coupled with the dependency on default security settings of the cloud vendor's infrastructure. As the first signs of trouble emerged, it became clear that this vulnerability was being exploited. On November 10, 2022, an unauthorized user managed to breach FinCorp's digital ecosystem through this misconfigured access vector. Over the following days, a series of unauthorized queries were recorded in the system logs, revealing an alarming scale of access. By November 15th, an estimated 2 million records containing sensitive information, including client identification and banking details, were accessed without any alert or authentication checks being triggered. The measurable impact of this breach became clear when internal reports showed a spike in unusual activity originating from specific user accounts. Monitoring alerts were issued, indicating that too many data requests were traversing the network. An initial evaluation suggested that nearly 5% of FinCorp's user base might have had their data compromised. This figure, while it may seem small at first glance, represented a significant risk, translating to approximately 100,000 affected clients. Financial analysts estimated potential losses due to regulatory fines and client remediation costs could exceed $30 million. Within FinCorp, the atmosphere shifted from routine operations to confusion and urgency. Emails circulated amongst the IT team, which quickly escalated to all hands-on-deck meetings to assess the gravity of the situation. Initial assumptions ranged from a localized data issue to a system malfunction unrelated to any security breach. Miscommunication plagued the organization's response as various departments speculated on the potential causes of this anomaly without reaching a consensus. Some teams proposed temporary fixes, such as limiting accessibility to certain platforms and ramping up authentication requirements. However, these measures were piecemeal and did not address the root cause. Externally, reports began trickling in from clients alarmed by unusual account activities. Complaints surfaced on FinCorp's user forums, with clients expressing concerns over unauthorized transactions and identity verifications appearing in their accounts. Minor media mentions started appearing, pointing fingers toward potential vulnerabilities in financial technology infrastructure, which drew scrutiny from industry observers. Despite these signals, no cohesive external communication strategy was formulated by FinCorp to address the concerns of clients or to engage with regulatory bodies. days passed as the internal chaos grew. IT security teams worked tirelessly to identify anomalies and patch apparent security gaps. On November 24th, additional monitoring tools were integrated into the cloud infrastructure to track access patterns more closely. However, these new tools were an interim solution, and their implementation was hampered by operational delays and insufficient resources allocated for urgent security measures. As November turned to December, the initial breach morphed from an internal scare into a full-blown financial crisis. FinCorp's attempts to grapple with the situation had not only failed to quell the internal chaos, but they inadvertently revealed additional weaknesses in their broader cybersecurity framework. Leadership began receiving pressure from stakeholders demanding accountability for the loss of client trust, while regulatory scrutiny intensified, prompting governmental investigations into the company's data protection practices. Each passing day revealed a deeper complexity to the emerging crisis. Concurrently, a new ransomware strain surfaced in the cyber landscape, targeting financial institutions. This evolving threat produced panic within FinCorp's walls, exacerbating the vulnerability already exposed by the earlier security breach. The interrelation of these events led to heightened internal anxiety, further complicating response efforts. The situation began to resemble a chaotic cascade of failures as the threat surface expanded beyond expectations. By early December, the company found itself at a nexus of interconnected issues, ranging from ineffective risk management strategies to inadequate incident response protocols. Leadership was forced to confront not only the immediate fallout from the initial breach, but also the indelible impact on the organization's long-term security posture. As investigative processes began to take shape and external partnerships took precedence, FinCorp was on the precipice of further operational exposure. Regulatory bodies issued preliminary findings, calling for immediate actions and accountability measures. What had started as a small oversight in a cloud security protocol was spiraling towards much graver ramifications, leaving the organization grappling with a storm of complications that required urgent remediation. With pressure mounting from clients, stakeholders, and regulators, the path forward for FinCorp became increasingly uncertain. On December 10th, the situation escalated as clients continued to voice outrage over unauthorized transactions. Following a request from the regulatory authority, FinCorp was required to submit a comprehensive report detailing the extent of the breach, alongside its evaluation of internal security practices. Initial estimates projected the compromised data included names, account numbers, social security numbers, and transaction histories of an expanding list of clients, now numbering approximately 500,000 individuals. Industry estimates began forecasting potential financial losses nearing $100 million, factoring in client compensation, lost business, and reputational damage. On December 15th, a significant internal meeting brought together IT security personnel, management, and external consultants. Analyses presented during the session revealed that the breach had exploited multiple layers of vulnerabilities, which included misconfigured cloud settings, compounded by insufficient authentication procedures. Internal chat logs surfaced during subsequent audits indicated that warnings from junior security analysts had been overlooked during critical meetings in early November. This crucial oversight contributed to the growing sensitivity of client data access, rendering it susceptible to exploitation. As evidence mounted, investigative teams initiated collaboration with law enforcement agencies. By mid-December, preliminary investigative findings had been shared with the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, which began scrutinizing FinCorp's compliance with established digital security standards. Legal notices were drafted, and subpoenas were issued to gather further evidence from affected customers and internal parties. Ransomware threats were deemed credible enough to warrant escalation, leading to emergency sessions focusing on disaster recovery measures. On December 22nd, FinCorp publicly acknowledged the severity of the breach via a press release, claiming they were undertaking extensive audits and would implement _0_ moving forward. Simultaneously, they introduced a short-term compensation fund for clients who reported unauthorized transactions, a decision designed to mitigate immediate backlash, though it was criticized as insufficient in scope. Weeks passed, and by January 5th, 2024, additional details surrounding the incident began to emerge. Investigative journalism efforts intensified, with several news agencies conducting inquiries into internal processes at FinCorp. Sources within the company disclosed that pressures from management had previously led to the prioritization of rapid service deployment over comprehensive risk analysis, a culture that appeared increasingly responsible for broader systemic failures. Reports indicated that non-disclosure agreements were being drafted to limit employee commentary on the matter. Amidst the mounting pressure, both from external and internal stakeholders, FinCorp convened public town hall meetings on January 10th. Despite their attempt to reassure clients and investors, sentiments reflected widespread distrust. Questions lingered over transparency regarding the incident's specifics, as well as doubts about the effectiveness of newly proposed measures. Stakeholder confidence continued to wane, and financial forecasts for the upcoming fiscal quarter reflected volatility as stock prices began to drop. On January 15th, FinCorp's legal team filed an internal complaint against a former contractor accused of negligence in adhering to security protocols, which was subsequently leaked to the media. This incident reignited discussions around accountability. Inquiries into the contractor's previous work with FinCorp revealed a series of warnings from fellow cybersecurity professionals regarding lapses in cloud security, which were dismissed by management during previous evaluations. In late January, as the dust began to settle slightly, the implications of the breach began to crystallize. Regulatory bodies indicated they would formally review data protection practices across the entire industry, suggesting that proposed legislative changes toward stricter compliance were forthcoming. FinCorp faced potential class action lawsuits as clients sought restitution for losses incurred. Over the next 2 months, FinCorp's board underwent leadership changes with 3 executives resigning as external pressures mounted. Discussions of possible bankruptcy loomed, particularly as insurance claims related to cybersecurity breaches began filtering through while the legal landscape grew even more convoluted. By the end of March 2024, an external audit report revealed extensive lapses and systemic failures, confirming that the organization had been operating under inadequate cybersecurity measures. An error chain that effectively began with the original oversight in cloud security protocols. The report further indicated a failure to respond adequately to the breach as it unfolded, contributing to amplified impacts across client data and trust. On April 1, 2024, FinCorp announced a formal restructuring of its cybersecurity division, pledging an investment of over $50 million to redefine its infrastructure and protocol adherence. However, analysts noted that recovery from reputational damage would take years, compounded by increasing scrutiny from regulatory authorities and clients alike. Ultimately, the incident concluded with significant changes to FinCorp's operational framework, yet continued fallout persisted. As of mid-2024, questions surrounding regulatory compliance and enforcement often directed scrutiny back toward FinCorp. The company remained in a precarious position, addressing both impending lawsuits and mounting distrust among clients and partners. Final status update. As of April 2024, FinCorp continues to operate but with significant restructuring and under the weight of legal implications from the breach, facing an uncertain future as they work toward recovery and compliance.